in what I thought would be one of the tougher matches of our run-in to the end of the season. Another workmanlike performance, very professional. We did the business. We come away with a dub. OG Ryan is with me. Stoner Glenn is here with me as well. And once again, the very special guest making his triumphant return to the Loose Cannons. Mikey Hers is with us. Let's get into some good footy talk. How's it? Welcome into another episode of Loose Cannons. Today, we will we'll get into a little bit of a recap of yesterday. We'll look ahead to Tuesday's Champions League clash with Bayern at the Emirates. I don't know. There might be some WrestleMania talk or some WrestleMania references in here at some point. I'm also going to ask these guys about some confidence level kind of things. Ryan currently doesn't have any pants on, which is weird because you can't see underneath the desk that he's sitting at. So I don't know why his camera's not on, but that's the rumor. And Glenn is probably just stoned. I mean, look at the only thing wrong with Glenn's little avatar thing there is the smile. It were just the eyes and the mouth were just like the straight across mouth. That would be you to a T, sir.
All right, let's get
there he is. Oh,
let's get going.
Down in his bunker.
Right, Glenn, you always have the craziest How many rooms do you have with that aesthetic, if you will?
Now, this is strictly for YouTube, but my wife co-opted this space while she's working Monday through Friday. Although my son's room, where I go to in my alternate Arsenal talky place, is turning into that behind me. Thank you, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Glenn, AFC New York. I'm on Twitter and YouTube. My video of my first trip to the Arsenal in the UK is up. Parts 1 and 2 are put together on Twitter or YouTube. Any other social media things a bridge too far for this old man. Glad to be here. Glad to talk about Arsenal. Thank you for having me.
Ryan, are you ready to go? Are you there? Or should I'm going to go to Mikey first since his camera's. When he's ready, he'll turn his camera.
Go to Mike. I'm almost done. Give me 2 seconds. I'm sorry.
He's almost done dressing.
Very unprofessional of me.
You better come with like a 4-piece suit, sir.
I swear to God, that would be.
You know what? Give me 10 minutes. I'll be right back.
Bow tie.
How long does it take? Jesus, Mikey.
Four-piece suit? You hear it? It takes a while.
Mikey, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? Thanks for the invitation. Anytime I get the opportunity to talk about Arsenal.
Say hi to my son, Owen.
Hi, Owen.
What's up, Owen? How are you?
All right. Get out of here, you little stinker. Okay. All right, guys. I'm ready. He was just, hey, get out of there. Don't touch my shit.
I love that.
Anyway, but yeah, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, man. Just following the Arsenal. I was so close to doing my first ever solo podcast, my first ever solo stream. And I've never quite dove into that. And I always admire people that could just get on camera and do huge monologues. But look, you kind of half mentioned something about confidence, and maybe you were referring to players. I always find the social aspect of football an interesting one. And I truly think that we're in that desperation mode where supporters want to see this team win something so bad that it's almost distracting a little bit from having fun. And I say this because I didn't follow the first half of the Brighton game. I just thought, I'm like, I'll catch up later is what I thought. But I jumped in minute 30, minute 40, whatever it was before we got the pen. And it was like, we're sloppy. We're slow, for fuck's sake. And I just have a quick Google search, right? And I'm like, they haven't had a single flipping shot on goal yet. Like what? And I think we're so caught up on like 20 minutes in. Why aren't we 2-0 up yet? Like it's almost like having like a weird effect on some supporters where it's becoming more and more unbearable in a way that the better your team is, the more you stress out during games. Like take me back to the Theo Wilcott game where we're like 10 points off of first and I didn't care if we got smacked. Take me back to those days almost. But it's an interesting thing that it really is one of those things that the better your team is, like the April and May, you almost don't even enjoy it. It's like that meme that goes around where it says my team's playing, kill me. Oh, cool, we won. Those are the three stages. Yeah, and that's essentially what I'm seeing on my online on my timeline that most people stress the F out until we actually go one goal up. But listen, last time I preach underlying metrics and whatnot and all that nerdy stuff that I'm learning to get into. And again, by far dominant team. So it's a lot of fun watching the Arsenal this season, to the very least, man.
BG, after Ryan goes, I just want to comment a quick comment. So that's all I want to say. Go ahead, Ryan. I didn't want to step on you.
No, comment. Go for it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I completely agree, but we're all different the way we treat it. I have to keep telling myself something. We're talking about Arsenal's success. I keep telling myself something that BG said, I think years ago now, which is enjoy the ride. You know what I'm saying, Mike? It's hard. You got to train yourself to enjoy the ride. I personally don't think that we're going to win the Champions League. I think somewhere along the line, our inexperience is going to cost us that trophy this season. But that didn't stop me from being nervous as shit during the last game.
100%, dude. Yeah. No, it's very difficult. And I think look, I normally, even when I'm at work, Glenn, I listen to the game and by the way, if live chat's going to ask me, because I've always been told, hey, what radio station? I literally stream NBC and just put it in my pocket. So I don't literally, I don't have a radio app. That would be great. But I stream it and I listen to it as audio. But you know what, Glenn, to your point, sometimes I didn't watch the Manchester City game live by choice. I was at home and I was like, nah, I'm just gonna find out the result and I'm gonna go in reverse and then watch the game. But yeah, to your point, man, I'm as nervous with everybody else, but I do. My thing is more having just viewed the stats initially. I went back to watch the game. I just do think it's funny where at that time it was like people were saying we're looking sluggish, we look tired, Saka's not right, and I just remember just hitting Google and I'm like, they had 5 shots, 0 on target. We had 14 and 2 on target, and I'm like, and double the passes, double the possession, all that. And I'm like, I'm failing to see how anybody's shitting themselves right now at like minute 30. Like, I don't understand where the anxiety is coming from, but I think it has a lot to do with we want to win. We want to win. Why haven't we scored? We haven't scored. And we were spoiled rotten after that trip to Dubai, right? We were spoiled rotten where it was like 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. And you're like, oh my God, we're stagnated. We had 2 games, 6-0. We can't score the 7th. What's wrong with us? Right.
I'm sorry, Mike. I just got to say this, Mike, because I mean, how many years have we looked up at the Chelseas and the Liverpools and the Manchester Uniteds fighting for the title, and we weren't even in the equation? Now we're right there. Our fate is in our hands, so to say, and it's what we wanted. So let's just enjoy it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. The final little piece that I was going to say is that, I very seldomly get things right. But the last time I was on this podcast, ironically, when I was hit with, hey, come up with a headline, and I was just throwing some things at the wall, I remember saying goal differences might be worth a point in the league. It might just be, and holy shit, man. I mean, there's 7 games. I'm fully expecting for those 3 to shift some more. But holy crap, those goals might come in clutch, man. You don't know.
Hey, we're up 9. We're up 9 in goal differential.
We're up 9, yeah. And even Klopp mentioned that I think I don't know if they prompted him to mention it, because I don't know if it was a question, but I saw a clip, a short, and he was saying people say we should just go via goals, and he goes that, and he literally says that's a dumb idea. He goes, we can't just go score 9 goals in one game. So even like he's even like people are like, oh, it's okay, catch up with the Arsenal with goals. We're scoring a lot of goals too. I mean, that is you don't have to score 9 in one game. You have to score, multiple like 9 in 2 games to surpass us.
Well, you have to do what we did, going 5 or 6 in a row for 4 or 5 games in a row.
Yeah, it was like 33 and 2, I think.
Yeah.
Goals versus,
guys, forgive me if this is a cliche that everybody knows, but one of the play-by-play guys said it during the last game. Having the goal differential is like having an extra point in the standings. And I never heard that before. I'm like, wow, that's fucking sweet. So forgive me if that's an old cliche that everybody knows.
Or something Mike Hurst said like 10 seconds ago. Yeah. Anyways.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mike. Shut up.
Are we married, Glenn? Are we married because you barely listen to me, Glenn?
Yeah, see? I didn't think so.
He timed himself out.
Yeah, that was impressive. Gotta give him credit. It was impressive.
I thought, Ryan, you had something you were gonna kind of run with there for a minute.
No. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could say that I want to say is just I mean, obviously this isn't a 100% factual statement, but what I'm going to say is if we win the next 7 games, we're going to be champions of the Premier League. It's all we have to do. All we have to do is win. All we have to do is win. It's not that I think Liverpool are going to mess up again. I just don't think they're going to make up those 9 goals. I just don't see it in 9 games. I don't see it happening. And even if we win out 1-0, if we just win, if we win 1-0 the rest of the season, I still don't see them making the goals up. So
because even if you win 1-0, we're 9 right now.
You're still adding 1 to your total. So if they win 3-0, it's the equivalent of winning 2-0. So
there you go. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. No, but that's what I'm saying. So all we have to do is win 7 games and we're champions. Like it's and
that's it. All right.
That's it. That's the show. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you
good night.
And it's funny, like I'm not nervous. I hope they're not nervous. I hope there's no like pressure. I mean, there is pressure, but yeah, win 7 games, we're champions, and it's something that's going to be interesting because. I don't think, again, I say it because it's easy, but it's not. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops and how that goes about because all 3 of us, Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool, we all have like tough games. And it's not going to be easy for any 3 of the teams left.
I have a question. I want to see if I'm in the minority. It's for each of you. You could just answer one word. Do you think that was a penalty on Jesus for the penalty shot? I do not think it was a penalty. I think he got a piece of the ball and boom, that's it. No penalty. What do you guys think? Yes or no?
Wow.
Was it a penalty? That's the question I'm giving you guys.
Who wants to go first?
I promise I'm not going to yell.
100% a penalty. It was a clumsy tackle.
I agree with Ryan.
And
I'll take the slightly more political. Glenn, I don't want it to be a penalty, but in this modern football with such little contact, I remember Gabriel Jesus being told by a ref when he was like bear hugged and he fought through the tackle. The ref told him this is in an interview that he said, and the ref said, "You have to give me a decision. You didn't go down." And so I think in modern football there is substantially enough contact for a player to go down and have that be called a penalty. So okay. I'm going to say by modern football standards that is a penalty.
I'll put it this way.
I'll go further. Oh, sorry. Go, Tanner. I'll go ahead.
Just real quick. For me, whenever a situation like this comes up, I try to look at it from the opposite standpoint. So if we put in a tackle like that against an opponent and they call the penalty in real time, I'm probably screaming it's not a penalty. In the replay, I'm screaming, but he got the ball. But BX actually said it really good. He got partial ball, but he got full ankle. And that to me, I'm looking at it, I'm saying, yeah, as much as I hate it, and like Mikey just said, I don't want it to be a penalty, but it is. And it's It's
Okay.
two really good comments there.
Let's
both
put it
by
this
Mike
way.
I wanted
and
Go
I
ahead,
don't know
Ryan.
what
Ryan, and then I'll go.
I don't know what the rule is. That should be a penalty. Like he essentially takes Jesus out of the play. Like, cool, you get the ball, but from my vantage point, like you need to have the attacker who loses said ball have some kind of like play. He just completely cleans him out.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like this. It's kind of like this. Glenn, I'll put it to you this way. High sticking in hockey. Even if you're going for the puck, you shoot the puck. And the follow through of your stick catches somebody up high, still a penalty. In other words, you have to be in control of the offending device, we'll say, be it a stick, be it a leg. You have to be in control. So, yeah, you got the ball, the way I'm looking at it, and kind of like what Ryan's saying, you got to, but that's great that you got the ball, but you still have to be in control of your body to not then on the follow through clip the ankle and completely take him out of the play.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
I'm definitely the minority because everyone keeps saying he got the ball. I don't see him getting the ball at all.
Oh, there's a little deflect. Ryan, that's not a question. He gets the tiniest piece.
Yeah, but I don't like.
It's not a question, dude. It's not a question.
He got it enough that it would have put.
It's not enough.
Can I give you guys
real quick? He got it enough. Sorry, Glenn. He got enough ball that it would have put that if Jesus stays up or he doesn't make contact, he's going to put Jesus off the line that he's currently on. Do you know what I mean? He's going to have to regather possession of the ball. It's not. If you understand what I'm saying,
I do.
I know what you're saying.
Can I just?
Go ahead, Glenn. Sorry.
I just want to clarify the record, okay? Because I am a hypocrite at times. When he went down, yes, penalty. When I saw the replay that showed him getting just the nick of it, I'm like, fuck, it's not a penalty, but I'll take it. So that's the way I was. I'm like, fuck, it's not a penalty, but I'll take it. If
Paul getting the penalties that they got today, then that was assault on Gabriel Jesus.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know if you saw the Liverpool penalty.
I was going to say that. I watched that in slow mo. I watched it zoomed in on the contact. There was none. Insane that Liverpool got that penalty. And I'll go even further. If we want to debate this penalty, fine. But if you don't get that, we should have gotten the penalty where Big Gabby, is getting pulled from his shirt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that.
That's a yellow card anywhere else on the pitch, and for some reason,
I tweeted that.
And it's not. I don't understand that.
And I don't mean Tanner talk about this all the time. I hate makeup calls. I don't want refs to be like, oh, I fucked up before, so let me give them something. I don't like that. I hate it. If it's a foul, it's foul. It's not a. Right. But like. The Gabby thing to me is a clear as day penalty, and this, like, I still think this is a pretty clear as day penalty too. But I mean, cool. You want to argue this? Fine. Give us the Gabby penalty then. I don't really care.
Hey, I don't want to argue it. I just told you. I said even after the replay where I didn't think it was a penalty, I'm like, I'll take it. So just keep that in mind. I don't want to argue this.
Yeah, and again, on the flip side of it, again, as I say, I try to put the shoe on the other foot. If it goes against us. You know, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, like that's a penalty. Like it is what it is. You know, when we made a bad play, and it's a penalty. I'm not one of those fans that screams, I want all of the breaks, and then when we don't get one, I'm like, you don't get it both ways. I try to be as realistic.
If that penalty went against us, I wouldn't. Like I'd be like, yeah, no, it's a penalty. Like
that's what I mean. Like I'd scream at the beginning. I'd scream in real time. No, he got the ball. And then I'd watch the replay and I'd look around the room and I'd be like, yeah, it's a penalty.
I also think like it's so tough. I'm not a professional player. I know this, but to me, when you're going to ground in the box, you're fucking asking for it. Like I don't like. You have to when you go to ground inside your own 18. You have to be like. Perfect,
right?
And
you have to be you have if a synonym for perfect in this situation is William Saliba.
Yeah, but like even that though, even like, and that's a good thing. Everyone talks about the Mustafis, the Kolasinacs, Socrates, all that. It's like like obviously we've upgraded in very various facets, but all of our defenders though that we used to have. They all just went down the ground so easily. They would always be going to tackles, whether it's in the box, out of the box. And I think that's something that Gabby, Saliba, a lot of our players don't do. Like Gabby will go down and will need to block a shot, but like to go into like a full on tackle in the box, it's just to me it's a last ditch effort, but it's just bananas. Like I don't, I don't know. It's crazy to me.
I just I don't want to argue about it anymore. Only on this show could I say only on this show could I say a one-word answer, and then 10 minutes later we're done with it.
I do it, Glenn.
It's a talking point.
Now you know how I feel because I do it all the time. I'm like, I want a yes or no answer, and then I get a diatribe on world peace from you guys.
Ryan, I just want to. I don't know how Ryan feels about this. He just made me think of it, and I just want to mention it, and then we'll move on. There was a point last game where Ben White had a little altercation, and the guy pushed back, and White fell down like, "Oh my God, I'm hurt." I fucking hate that, whether it's the other team or our team, and I hope Arteta talked to him about that because that was fucking disgusting.
I disagree. So like,
oh no,
it's tough.
Tell me I'm wrong on this.
Hold on. So it's tough because I'm going to speak for myself here.
Because it's Ben White. That's why.
This is again spirit animal. Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. I know Ben White. I know how he is. I know his antics on the pitch. I know he does things with a smile on his face. Like like for instance, if it was someone speaking of which, he actually got a red card today, Pepe on Porto. I mean, it was kind of a joke. He shouldn't have gotten the straight red. He did. For anyone that cares, he went like this to the linesman and to the refs, like, you need glasses, and he got sent off for it. He shouldn't have got stuff, but whatever. But to me, like, if he goes down and makes a meal of it, like, okay, like, fuck this guy. Like, I no. If Bruno Fernandes does it, no. There's certain players that do it, like, you're disgusting. To be fair, I want to say if it's any other player bar Ben White and maybe Ramsdale, I'm probably upset with that player if they play for Arsenal. But if it's Ben White or like Ramsdale, I'm like, it's shit house.
You go from you dirty player to aw.
Yeah, you're like, he's so like, yeah, like, oh, what a little rascal. Like, this is our guy, right? Like, it's Ben White. Like, I don't know. I can't get
Ben White. He's such a ham.
Yeah, like and again, like, it's not like he got up and got in the ref's face and was like, oh my God, like, what? How did you not card him? Like, how does he? Like, nobody freaked out. He got down, he rolled around the floor, and then he got up, and the play started. Like, I hate to
he went down like this, like he got kicked in the throat, and the dude put his shoulder into his.
Like, and again, like this, and this is, again, I go to London. It's part of the game, and it sucks that it comes down to that because VAR looks at stuff like that, and he did get pushed. Like, there was contact. Now, enough for him to do that? No, obviously, but we're in exactly. Yeah, thank you, Bix. Perfect. We're in a an evolutionary period of the game where this stuff is looked under a microscope, and the littlest push, whether it to be the throat, the chest, like, can have a very severe disciplinary action. So, like, you have to do that, and I hate it. I in the general scheme of things, I hate it. I hate faking injuries. I hate diving. I hate time wasting anybody. But that's just the way the game is. Like, that he could have. I don't know who was. I don't even know who pushed Ben White. I don't even know who it was. Was that a gang? I don't even know. But he could have got sent off, and we would have been down. They would have been on 10 men. And
can I ask you this question, Ryan? Since we kind of don't agree on this, would you object to it being looked at after a game, and if someone blatantly tried to get someone carded, that they get some kind of warning or something, or no?
I would love that.
Okay,
but
after the game.
Well, no, after the game, when you have time to review it.
I just
Oh, you mean during the game?
I think during the game, if you can get sent off for that, I think during the game, if it's the opposite, I think you should be. Well, we talked about this already, and I
know, but
no. I hate this is very VAR centric, but like I am a firm believer that all what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know what but like every yellow card, potential red card should be looked at. Oh, not yellow card, but second yellow card should be looked at. I think, I think VAR needs to look at a lot more, which sucks because I don't like VAR, but I don't like it because it's not consistent. And a play like
Tanner, I promise I'm not going to ask any more questions.
a play like that, I think at the end of the day, I see in that. So that specific play, I think nothing should happen because there was a push. Whoever it was should not have pushed Ben White, but Ben White went down too easy. So it's like, what do you do? I almost say you give the guy a yellow that pushed Ben White because whether it wasn't that crazy of a foul, but you can't
do intentionally
put hands on that. Yeah, he actually pushed him. Like there was a movement, there was an action, there was contact, and so I don't know, but I do think like in the like let's say he didn't even touch Ben White and Ben White fell. Yeah, I think Ben White should potentially see a yellow card, but like that's so tough to referee.
I think on double yellows. Listen to me. On second yellows, straight red cards, kind of like in the NFL. Every scoring play, every turnover should be reviewed, and I think that's
I almost think regular. And this is everyone is gonna hate me for saying this, and I don't know how you do this, but I almost think all yellows should be looked at because think about this. What was it? Was it Gabrielle? He got the 2 yellows and they were both soft. Like or like the second yellow was a yellow, but it was a tough
about the ones that were like 20 seconds apart.
No. It was Big Gabby. I think it was last season. He got 2 yellows, and the first one was soft as shit, and the second one was like it was a yellow, but it's like you're gonna like give him a second yellow for that. Like that's too much. And in that case, like I don't know because I don't know because a second yellow, if it's a yellow, you're out. But if the first yellow is soft, like I don't know. It's such a slippery slope. But that's why I hate talking about this.
So Glenn is like 0-5 with everything that Ryan just did. just for flipping's sake, Glenn, do me a favor. Ask Ryan if he wants us to win out for the rest of the league. I just want to see if he disagrees.
You know what's funny? I don't know if I do because I really want to win Champions League. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I have to say one last thing because I disagree with this part of what you said, Ryan, the most is that it's just part of the game and it just enrages me. I mean, if someone gets a yellow,
I don't like it. But
if the other team gets a yellow because we fake something, I would be so angry.
Yeah, but Glenn, like,
but how often?
I agree with you, but
it always happens to us.
I know.
It's the same thing. Like, when was the last time you can remember one of our players pulling a stunt like that?
No, I said that in reference of the Liverpool penalty today. I said if that's Kai, and we saw it in the last game, not Brighton, but the game before that, if that's Kai, he gets a yellow card. Like we've tried to be sneaky, and we it doesn't often pay off for us. I will say that.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. Kai is funny you bring him up. Kai is a player who I think he gets away with a lot, and he's very handsy. He's almost I don't think Kai's a mean player, but he's almost the opposite of Ben, where I could see Kai doing that. Like Kai is just he wants to get every inch, every advantage, and if he has to pull a few shirts, knock a few heads, and he's gonna do it. And I don't agree with most of the stuff he's done, but
I just, when it comes to penalties in Arsenal, I'm watching them the other day and I'm like, damn, these guys are playing like a basketball game inside the box with their quick passes and little flips and shit. Like they're trying to feed it to the center to dunk it in. They're going to foul us. We don't have to fake foul. We got so many talented forwards on this team. It just makes me crazy. Maybe I know. I also know this is a cultural thing, and me shitting all over it is not going to change anything.
Tanner, did
All
we
right.
play a game?
What's that?
I said, did we play a game?
Yeah, right. So, Mikey, I love that Glenn asked the questions. That don't ever apologize for that, by the way.
Okay.
I love it. If you guys have a question that you want to post to us in the chat, by all means, it makes my job so much easier.
All right, I'll ask a question, but I got a question for Ryan.
Well, hang on a minute. Now
Ryan,
it's my turn, damn it.
Ryan, is the sky blue? He has to think about it.
No, it's
So
not out here. It's not.
Go ahead, BG.
Mikey said something earlier before we got onto this about confidence and things like that, and I mentioned it in the monologue. So I do want to ask you guys how confident you are now at this, because something I was thinking about earlier today. I'm out, I'm walking the dogs, and I'm thinking I don't know what popped into my head that made me kind of start thinking this, but I'm like, I wonder how confident Liverpool fans are about their chances of winning the league. There is not a doubt in my mind that City fans are confident they're going to win the league. I don't doubt that at all. I think they fully expect to win the league. In fact, I think they almost feel like it's their God-given right to win the league this season. But I'm curious as to how confident our fan base is, because I'm looking at yesterday, and Ryan, I sent you the text like early in the second half, maybe 10, 15 minutes in to the second half. I'm like, don't like this, because we were just sitting back. We were pressing high, and once they beat the press, then we sank back into defensive posture and just let them boot the ball around. And while I'm confident in the defense to keep things at bay, I just don't like seeing them have that much of the ball. But the confidence thing for me is like, I'm just still kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. But then, I don't know, something when Trossard scored that goal, and I've had some time to sit and think on things, I'm like, we're the best team in the league. I'm going to say we are the best team in the league right now. Fully healthy, and Score Guy, if for those that follow him on Twitter, put out he retweeted reposted the lineup announcement and looking at the bench and said, this is the strongest bench I can remember in years. And they've been similar the past few games because we've been all but fully healthy. But yeah, like I'm now and looking at the bench, and it's like, are we not? The only thing that I'm less confident about is our experience in that intangible of we go to the shit bags at the end of the month. And that's a big game. It's a big game if it's played at the beginning of the year. It's going to be a massive game for us at that point. How do we handle that? That's the one, that and going to Old Trafford are the two that really worry me. But back to the question. Sorry, Glenn, I'll start with you because you're always the fastest. I feel bad for your wife. How confident are you in this team, generally speaking? I don't want to say, I don't want to caveat it with confident to win the league, confident to win the Champions League, but just confidence in this team.
I can split that into two easily. I'm not worried about Tottenham. This is a different Arsenal. You all know it, even if you won't admit it out loud. It's a different Arsenal, and I think we're going to win the Premier League because we're the best team in the Premier League. We talked about this last show, I believe, where we compared. No, we talked about it before Manchester City, I believe, and my answer was their goalkeeper's better, our defense is better. They get a slight edge at midfield, and we get a slight edge up front. But I fully expect to win the Premier League. I fully expect to beat Bayern. Any inexperience I think is going to cost us next round. But next round, if we beat Bayern, don't we play Manchester City? So, yeah, whatever. I only take it one game at a time, guys, and I'm confident about Bayern. I actually wrote down, where did I put it? Here it is. The betting line I always give you guys that I'm sure you all know already. Arsenal 55% to win the game, Bayern 22%, draw 23%. I'm not afraid of Harry Kane, just like I wasn't afraid of Holland. Let's go.
I like
that wasn't a short answer.
Like that energy.
Yeah. Mikey, come to you.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback on what Glenn was saying. Statistically speaking, we are the best team, and not only the league, but most of Europe at the rate that we're scoring, at the little that we concede, the possession that we give. And, Rob Edwards, when asked after the game of what makes it so difficult to play for the Arsenal, he kind of pointed that we could play in multiple ways. And I think that was like a big point for me for the Brighton game where, BG, you mentioned sitting back and it makes you uncomfortable, but in my brain, the team is extraordinarily comfortable. They have no problem with another team. And we saw that 3 times this season versus Manchester City. They have zero problem whatsoever giving the ball to the other team. So I'm probably overly confident with Glenn. I do think Bayern Munich, when the draws were happening, I kind of wanted Bayern Munich and PSG because I view them as big name teams, but teams that are achievable to beat. And I think, we speak about experience a lot. I think having potentially beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and I agree with Glenn, I'm fairly confident on that. I think it's a massive boost. It's, you know what I mean? You're taking down a big boy. You're taking down one of the top 5 teams in the tournament, somebody that's favored to win. And you get to have that, like, okay, we're Arsenal. We made it this far with, the last game of the group not being necessary for us. And we managed to knock out a massive club in which we have a lot of bad history with. So I think it'd be a massive accomplishment and massive confidence boost for the team. And I don't know about the experience. I think we've learned a lot from last season. Personally, we look around and I know that last season, everybody was like, we're emotional. We're too emotional. And we're still, the team is still very thoroughly enjoying the wins, the hard fought wins. We saw like how they celebrated versus Liverpool. So they know when to enjoy a win, but I think they're just so incredibly composed and they could play in so many different ways. I'm ridiculously impressed with this team, to say the very least. And as far as one of you two gentlemen mentioned the bench, we are the healthiest out of Liverpool, City, and us. So this is
knock on wood.
You knock on wood, yeah. We haven't been this healthy in a really long time. I mean, literally the only person missing right now, if I'm correct, is Timber. And Timber, I guess you can't miss what you never had. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. And I mean, dude, here's the downer. If it doesn't happen this season, it only motivates you a little bit more in the sense of like, holy shit, we already have somebody that could play left back, right back at a very high rate. On the like a new signing. So it's pretty insane, but we're really healthy. The team is really composed. I'm really excited of how everything's playing out. And listen, and to your comment about Manchester City feeling like it's their God-given right, I think it's because they've done it so many times, Tanner.
Sure.
For us, winning 9 games in a row, it's like, holy fuck, we won. Like, what an achievement. We won 9 games. City is like, oh, yeah, no, it's what we do. We saw the run that they did last season. So I could understand fully why, if a City fan is out there saying, no problem, we're going to win the league because we're going to win the last 8 games or 7 games. Yeah, I mean,
because they've done it before.
Yeah, exactly. If you were supporting that team, having seen what they did last season, I would also feel very confident. But us, we got that. It's been 20 years. It hasn't happened for us yet, and we had all those crap years in between. So maybe we're less hesitant to jump on the. I'm 100% sure that we can win 7 games.
You know why they're so motivated to beat us? Because next season they're going to start with a 10-point deduction. This is their last chance for 2 years.
They're gonna change the rules for next year.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see how that plays out before I freak out, because it doesn't make sense to me that I've smoked or consumed edibles far before it was legal in the state of California, right?
Mhm.
And it was illegal at the time in which I did it, but it's no longer illegal now. I don't see how somebody like you broke the law, right? You consumed something, or like them, they broke all these financial laws. Everything that they did went against the rest of the teams in the league. You devastated the entire league. You devastated potential titles for multiple. And then you're like, well, that was last year, and we know that those were the rules, but we're going to change the rules and you're off scot-free. I'm just waiting to see how that pans out, because I don't know, man. If they change the rules and say we're going to judge you based on these new rules and these new punishments, I think there should be as much uproar as the Super League, in my opinion, to allow a team to have that massive effect on the football game and just, give them a slap in the arm.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's so easy to do to the Evertons of the world, but then when you talk about the teams that generate money television wise, well, let's change the rules for those guys. Ooh, that makes me angry.
Yeah. Ryan, back to the confidence thing, and then if you want to comment on the city thing and whatnot, have at it. But confidence wise, where do you stand in general with this team now?
I don't know. Confidence is a weird thing with me as far as Arsenal goes, because we haven't done it in so long. And I honestly, and this is a cop out and it's a crappy answer and everyone's going to boo me, but I don't really, I'm just taking everything game by game. I'm not really like, what can we do? Can we win? I'm like, yeah, we can. I don't think we're out and out. Definitely 100% the best team in the Premier League. We're one or two. I think we're better than Liverpool. City is tough. It's definitely tough to compare us to City. And I think a big thing that I know I take into consideration a little more than most people is style. Like I think every team has their own different style of playing, and I just think that sometimes there are teams that are really bad matchups for us, like the Villas of the world, the Newcastles of the world, teams that are like right there nipping at the Champions League spots, that are physical, have some skill, and could really like slow the game down and make you work for every ball. But then it's like when you play a team like Liverpool, who is just fueled on just sheer chaos, which really screws over most teams when they play, because I think this was before the United. I think it was before the United game. They rank. I think they've had 7 games where they've scored in the 82nd minute to win it or tie it or to gain points, and it's the most in their team's history. And I think they lead the league in it too. And they did it against United, and they did it against who they played before? They played someone before United. I think it was before even that game too. Was it maybe City? No, I don't
They
even.
played Sheffield, right? Was it a 2-1 or 3-1 at Sheffield, though?
Yeah, but that's why we're neck and neck with them. That's what trophy winning teams do,
No, I know, and that's my point is like that's why they're there. They're there because they're chaos, and teams don't know chaos. They don't know what to do with chaos, and we're a good matchup for them because cool, you want to be chaos and just throw shit at the wall. Well, we're gonna have the ball in your third, so we don't give them the chaos. We bottle their chaos and we throw it right back at them, and that's a problem for them. But whereas if they play a City or if they play, I'll just say City because it's really just us three. City has a tough time handling their chaos because whereas City try to play like us, I don't know. I just think it's more back and forth with City and Liverpool. And, to finally wrap up my long answer is it's just styles make fights, horses for courses. That's kind of what I've always been saying. And, I just think that, I think we're the first or second best team, but just because you're the first, second best team on paper, don't mean you're going to finish second or first. 38 games, there's injuries, there's different play styles against different teams. So I don't really, confidence isn't really, I try to take things game by game. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch.
I don't think that you should apologize for being confident. I mean, everybody is different. Look at if you're an Arsenal supporter and you're 19 years old, you've never seen a title, and you're going to react differently to the circumstances that are happening. It's so everybody acts different. I'm confident based on everything I've seen from Arsenal, and the statistics and what I've learned and what I've seen. And I really believe we're the best team in the Premier League. So that makes me confident about that. Champions League makes me nervous. We're all different. That's a long way of saying we're all different. But think about it. It's been 20 years since we won a trophy. There's an entire generation that hasn't seen it.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
I mean, we've been able to celebrate over here. We've been able to celebrate, a few FA Cups, here and there. But now with NBC and all of the coverage now that we get, not to mention things like what we're doing because of all of the different Arsenal programs that are on YouTube and the podcast and everything else, we're so much more involved, or at least I feel like I'm so much more involved now. Winning the league in 04-05 and going invincible was great, but it wasn't like this. It just because I didn't have the investment in it that I have now, because I'm going to the bar, almost every match to watch every single game. And it's just different now with all of the coverage that we have, covering us and whatnot. It will feel different even to me. And I'm part of a generation that remembers us going invincible and winning the league, and doing all of that. So it's different, I think, even for us in America, because, we haven't really been able to watch the way that we've been able to watch these last, 10 years. NBC's had exclusive Premier League coverage now for about, for about a decade, I think.
Close to that.
I mean, it's got to be close.
Might be
like
more.
2014, it might be a little bit more, but I don't think by much. But yeah, it will feel different. The confidence thing is just, I don't know. I don't know what it was that changed in that, and the Trossard, and it's so funny because the Trossard goal is what did it. Because Ryan, I messaged you.
2013.
What? Okay, yeah. So
his goal last game.
So I messaged Ryan. It was 2-0.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, it was like, I was looking at it like we're just playing prevent defense, right? And I'm like, come on, guys. Like we're like, it's like, we're better than this. We're better than them. I get, okay, you're just going to defend, sit back, but you're better than this. You don't need to do this. Go get the freaking ball and let's possess the ball a little bit. And I sent Ryan that. I'm like, I don't even remember what I said. It was something like, don't like this at all. Like
you don't like how passive we were.
Yeah, is that what I mean? I could look it up on my phone. I've got it right here, but something along those lines to say, I don't like how passive I feel like we're being. And then 5-10 minutes later, Trossard scores, and it's like, I'm just going to take my ball and go home. I'm done.
I gotta tell you, BG. Now I'm not disagreeing with you. I wasn't as bad as you were, but I'm watching that game and I'm thinking to myself, well, we're not playing that well. You guys know I don't think that Jesus penalty was a penalty, but we're not playing that well. And after the game, I'm like, okay, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect, but we win and we move on, as you like to say, BG. And then I went on my timeline on X, and everything's positive. What a game! Oh, we were fantastic. I'm like, well, that's a little weird. Am I in the minority again? I went to YouTube, and every thumbnail was the same thing. What a game! Fantastic job, fellas. All right, so you guys, I just want you to know, as far as my timeline goes, you're in the minority not being happy with the way we played.
That's not the first time I've been called a minority.
I mean, in a roundabout way, you were called a minority earlier by Magic. not wearing
Oh,
a
yeah,
sombrero.
that's
Not wearing a
true.
sombrero. How
Yeah.
dare you?
I think.
How dare you?
I
Well,
think.
tell me, are your timelines different? Do you have a bunch of people like BG?
Whoa. Glenn, why do you take one thing, and make and turn it into a mushroom cloud?
I have a bunch of bears
I
on my
didn't
timeline.
like in that moment the way we were playing. I actually loved the way we played I thought we were great in the first half.
God, well, you sounded like you were miserable.
Did I sound like I was miserable?
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Did he sound miserable, Ryan? And
Not
hair
really.
guy?
I mean, no, but I also like have the experience of texting with him, and I knew he wasn't miserable.
Okay,
It was in that moment, Glenn, where I was like, boy, we're really passive right now.
You know,
earlier in the game, I didn't feel that way. So
I promise you guys, one day on this show, I'm going to be right about something. PG, I'm sorry.
it's
Glenn, I'm still waiting.
Glenn, I'm giving you a hard time. You know that. I don't know sorry, I interrupted somebody.
I was just gonna say, Glenn, the whole positivity thing. I think a lot of it is result driven, and so you see I think sometimes we've had better performances that end 1-0, and I'm happy with how they played, and then you'll find a 3-0, and you're kind of like, we might have not played as well as a different game, but it ended at 3-0, so you're celebrating it, and like the final goal, the breakaway, everything, that final nail in the coffin. I think a lot of it, and this is what I was saying a little bit earlier in the podcast, I think a lot of it has to do with the time in which you're on Twitters during the game, because those first couple of minutes were within 15 minutes or so, we had 3 or 4 shots, decent chances. My timeline was really kind of full of, for fuck's sake, we're so wasteful. But towards the end of the game, Trossard, we're so fucking clinical. Oh my God, we won 3-0. And 3-0, it's difficult to moan about 3-0 and not ignore how the game played out. So I think a lot of the incredible hype is a lot of it might be just result driven. Like, we finished 3-0. What the hell are you going to moan about, type of thing. So, but yeah, I mean, personally, I thought we played well. Even in the moments where Tanner said we were a little bit passive, I think we're incredibly comfortable at managing a game. And if Arteta said, hey, we're 2-0 up, you got a snowball's chance in hell of scoring versus us, let's save some energy and not run ourselves ragged pressing to get the ball back. Now, and again, maybe it comes with a little bit of being spoiled again with the early games of the year, where we're used to seeing we smell blood, we're going to run them over, type of thing. But my timeline went through all types of shenanigans. And again, to speaking about how we manage, and everybody's different and how everybody interprets the game, Glenn, for really big games like the Manchester City game, I was away from Twitter the entire time, because I'd rather not fill my brain with some outlandish comments that you could see. So I generally, sometimes I pick and choose games to okay, I'm going to unplug from social media, because I have a feeling I'm not going to enjoy what I'm seeing versus what I'm reading on Twitter doesn't add up. So I'd rather not do it. Go for it, Glenn.
See, that's just my point, that we're all different. For instance, I'm sure during these shows, when you're talking to me, you feel like you're Skyping your grandfather. For me, it's easy to unplug.
My grandfather doesn't know what Skype is, Glenn, believe me.
Ryan, shut the fuck up.
The first thing I agree with you today. So,
but here's my point about that. We're all different. Mike, I have to watch the game. I will DVR it, and it's easy for me to put my phone down and not fucking look at it till I'm ready to watch the game on DVR. It drives my daughter crazy, who's 21 and expects me to be fucking hooked up to this fucking thing all the time. During the game, I had the phone away from me. She sent me 5 tweets. You would have thought the fucking house was on fire. She just had a question about dinner. I swear I didn't plan that. Did you hear that? That's her fucking
I
tweet.
did. That's
Did
weird.
you guys hear that? I did
Yeah.
not plan that.
I wish I had a counter that I could update like without like that it would just track when Glenn gets on these rants how many F-bombs he drops, and it would just say Glenn fucks. And it would just be like 1, 2,
But my point,
3.
Mike, my point is that we're all different. I remember when my daughter was playing football when she was young, and there were these 2 English guys that I guess were parents of someone on the other team, and they were listening to the game. I'm like, why don't you guys just watch it when you go home? No, we got to know now. So maybe you're like that, Mike. But for me, I gotta watch the game. I love the game, even if it's a game where you're fucking gonna shit your pants. I have to watch it.
So similar to you, Glenn, 9 times out of 10, it's only recently, and I think because of the title thing, even when we were way worse than this, Glenn, I shit you not, there was some games where, like the famous Chelsea game where we lost like fucking 8-2 or some crap like that. I listened to that audibly.
I think that was the Manchester United game.
I on audio listened to that during work.
Ooh.
And then got home and say, well, let's watch the shit. So I will double dip a lot of times.
I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I double dip a whole lot as far as that goes. And just to your point, being different, my mate Chris from my other podcast, if he has a family event, will unplug from everything. And if he'll DVR it, and if he arrives home at 11 o'clock at night, he'll be oblivious to everything until he sits down and watches the game. And I tell him, Chris, I go, I can't. At the very least, if I'm not listening to it, I have to Google search the result. And Chris literally tells us before we leave, before he like leaves Twitter, and he's like, "Hey guys, just FY, do not text me. I don't care."
I do that with them. I do
the same thing.
I was when Nelson scored the last minute goal versus, how my mate and Sebi and I called Sebi at work just to be like, holy shit, we scored. Wow, Nelson. And I'm like, oh, we can't tell Chris. Shit. We don't want to ruin this for Chris.
I got you.
Mikey, if you recall the Newcastle home match back here, 2 months ago or so, we played. It was noon for you. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon here. I was at work and I texted both of these guys and our other colleague Ryan from Atlanta. I'm like, I'm radio silent. I turned off every notification that I could possibly get. I didn't look at anything until I got home and watched the replay. I
do the same thing.
I'm very much
shout out to you guys.
If it's how do I say if it's not a massive game, but like if it's like a Champions League group stage, like if it's like a dead rubber in the Champions, like the last group stage match, and the result doesn't affect us at all, I'm gonna watch, but I'm not turning off the notifications. Like if I can't watch a game like
then you're doomed. Then you're doomed to hear the score.
No, I will. What I'm saying is in a game like that, with that context of it, I'm okay not watching and hearing the score and seeing different comments and shit like that. And it's like, oh, well, all right, I'll go home and watch and see what all the hubbub's about, if there is any. But big games, no. I want to sit and watch, and I will. Yeah, I'm very much like Chris. I will unplug from everything. But and like Glenn has been saying this entire show, everybody's different. So
100%.
We're at an hour, and Glenn, I'm sure you're going to have to roll out of here in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure. I just got minutes left. They're already bugging me. I hope I lowered it enough. They already texted me 3 times. So I'm running out of time.
That's called life, man. That's called life. It is what it is.
It's called
So
what
we kind of covered a lot of things here today. I guess Glenn, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you want to, I mean, I'm not chasing you out of here. I just want
I'll say I've said everything. I take it one game at a time. I was a little shocked that we're 55% favorites to beat Bayern, but then when I thought about it, I'm like, no, we are.
Bayern are not good. Bayern are not Bayern.
They're their 11-year streak is over in the Bundesliga. I'm confident, and I'm taking it one game at a time. Simple as that. And now I'll listen to you guys. And it was a pleasure, by the way, to everybody watching and who will watch later. Check out my video of going to the UK on Twitter and YouTube. Now I'll listen to you guys.
I mean, we get it, like Ryan just said, will anybody have anything before we move on to Bayern? Does anybody have anything to add from yesterday?
Well, I just,
Go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to touch and just say, like, I don't to what Mike said about results, about how that's why we're confident. That's why the timelines are everyone's all positive. My timeline's mixed. I see a lot of people that are like excited and happy for the most part, but there are people that still nitpick. And to be fair, I'm still nitpicking because I get to talk to you beautiful people, and I need to. I just can't be happy-go-lucky. We could always be better. I'm not happy until we literally win every single game, including friendlies. But I don't even think it's a results thing. I think it's more of just changing of the guard. It's more of the culture and the mentality changing the players. And I think the fans are noticing it. I'm definitely noticing it. We're not shooting ourselves in the foot every 5 seconds and doing stupid shit. Or when we do it, the crowd is behind the player. The players are behind the player that makes a mistake. It's just, okay, we're good. Let's go. We're out. A lot of, early on this, I mean, it happened a lot not a lot, but it happened last season. It happened a couple times earlier in this season where a player would make a mistake and the rest of his teammates would be like, dude, don't worry about it. We're good. Even the fans would be chanting their name. I think it was early last season. Saliba made a huge mistake when they scored a goal. I don't remember what game it was. Everyone started chanting Saliba. Everyone got behind him. And I think when you see that as a fan and you're not at the stadium and you're watching on TV or however you take the game in, and you see the crowd get behind the players and the players get behind the players if they make a mistake, I think you kind of just buy in with that, and you're just like, okay, like this is different, It's not, same old Mustafi, same old this. I mean, obviously, yes, the players are different, but I do think, and I'm going to give Arteta a lot of credit here. I think Arteta, in changing the mentality, changing the culture of this club, I think it really kind of instilled in the fans that are going to the games, we're not out of this. Yeah, Saliba just gifted the other team a goal. Well, that's fine. We're gonna get back onto this. Did Ramsdale give them a goal? Fine. They still scream their name. They still sing their name, and I think that's wonderful. And I think slowly everyone. I think the crowd at the stadium bought in first because they kind of see it firsthand, and I think it's slowly bleeding into the fans that are watching it. And I think it's also too. It's very. What are you really going to be upset about? For instance, after the Brighton game, everyone was picking on Zinchenko, which honestly I didn't think he was that bad. Was he probably the worst out of the 11 players? You can make an argument for it, but I don't think he was bad. And I'll sing this until I die. I didn't think he was bad. I just think him and Jorginho should never be on the pitch together. They are the same player. Zinchenko's a little more athletic than Jorginho. But Jorginho's a little bit smarter, a little bit better of an IQ. But I don't want to say it's like playing with 10 men. But I just think they almost like cancel each other out, and they almost in ways make each other look worse. And what didn't help Zinchenko's case was, Jorginho had that brilliant play that resulted in a goal to Kai, where he made that brilliant turn. He knew where to go. He knew where to find Kai. Bang, bang, boom, 2-0. And that was a big turning point in the game. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, everyone's just super positive. And like, you should. We're joined. You know what? Sorry. I apologize to Mr. Boblex. We are top of the league. And yeah, I think, are we going to win the rest of our games, including Champions League? I don't know. I think, if I was a gambling man, I'd probably say no. But I'm loving what we're doing. I'm loving how everyone's behind everybody. And I think a big thing too with this team, and I know we said this before, is there isn't a player that nobody like. There isn't a player that everyone just slags on and doesn't like. Like, yeah, you talk about like the Eddies of the world, how like, yes, we could do better, and even Zinchenko for that matter. But I mean, as far as just on the field and in the moment in the game, everyone's cheering everybody on. There isn't everybody loves everybody, and that definitely goes a long way. And the players love each other. I would like to think that there's no like drama going on behind the scenes. I think everyone's kind of playing for each other. Everyone's friends off the pitch. So, yeah, that's always a good sign as well. 12 games starts now. 12 games left. Got to win them all.
Mike, you want to piggyback off anything there that Ryan said? Anything left on the Brighton match from yesterday? And we'll get into a little Bayern talk.
I think the confidence is incredibly high because the results allow us to be incredibly high. So I have a little bit of a theory that people say we left our soul at Highbury. I think football passed us by, and we started to kind of suck. And on top of that, leaving Highbury left like a bad taste. So now that the results are coming, it's easier to have more confidence. So if the team does go down 1-0, you don't think about it like in the Mustafi Socrates day. You go down 1-0, you're like, well, fuck, game over. 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
Now you go 1-0 down. Leicester City, Saliba own goal. And like, fuck, 60 minutes to go. They are fucked.
No.
See how everything
it goes from heads down to we're gonna sing Saliba's name, like this isn't over. And I think that's that's just like night and day, and you can see it. So
So the confident thing, I completely agree with Ryan. Zinchenko and I agree with Ryan as far as Zinchenko. I think he's created a reputation for himself based on a few defensive errors that now. This game in particular, he didn't stop a cross.
Yeah,
it turns into a holy crap. He can't defend anything. So I think he has that reputation to shake, and it's up to him to shake it. I still think he's an incredibly gifted footballer. I saw this comment, Lone Star Londoner, Gabriel's a monster. I tweeted this yesterday. Speaking about Gabriel being elite is no longer debatable. He's just an elite center back and easily top 5 in the world as far as left-footed center backs. Easily, I would place him. And I don't statistically speaking, everything supports that argument. So it's not. That's why I say it's removed from debatable. And then the last thing, and this is what I wanted to do initially was I want to give King Kai his flowers because we've continued to buy physically imposing, strong, technical and extremely smart players, and they'll play. And it doesn't have to be specifically left 8, doesn't have to be specifically winger. Look, Gabriel Jesus moved from the center forward to the wing. We've seen Kai in 3, if not 4 different positions this season. We've seen Smith Rowe in different positions, and so on and so forth. Kivior is a center back by trade, playing left back. I think Arteta really values technique and intelligence, and Kai Havertz has that in spades. And he's proving by the simple fact that Martinelli is nearing near fitness. Trossard is great on the left, but Gabriel Jesus, who is a phenomenal player off the ball as much as he is on the ball, he is now, I'm not going to say get relegated, but Arteta sees more value of keeping Kai at center forward, that he's like but he trusts Gabriel Jesus enough to be versatile enough to play out on the left. So left flank Gabriel Jesus is not my favorite Jesus. I'll say that on the record. However, I think he's intelligent, technical, and hardworking enough to pull it off. And Kai Havertz is a breath of fresh air. I was incredibly happy when we signed him. And this is want to point this out because people have the belief that you can't change your opinion because you're like, haha, you proven you're wrong.
Oh, you flip-flopper.
You flip-flopper. And I was ecstatic when we bought him. 10 games here in, I'm like, fuck, what is going on? And I started to doubt it. And now he's back up, and I'm like, I'm fucking loving this guy at center forward. And I always was sold on the idea more of center forward than midfield. But we never know if that's going to be the plan, because ultimately, I'm sure losing Partey for the entirety of the season wasn't part of the plan either when we were squad building. But just wanted to give Kai his flowers, man. I think he's an incredible footballer. his confidence is growing, and it's not only just showing for the Arsenal, but it's showing in Germany as well, because he's even scoring there. Phenomenal footballer, technical, and I absolutely love him to beats. And that Chelsea connection, I mean, considering they drew 2-2 today versus Sheffield.
Nick Burney.
Watching the Chelsea duo score that goal was pretty nice, dude.
Real quick, Mikey, I asked the fellas this earlier in the week about Kai Havertz, since you brought him up. Is he worth the price tag to you?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think you asked us. You said you were going to ask us. I don't think you did.
Didn't I? Did we not? Okay, maybe that's
remember.
what it wasn't. Maybe I said I wanted to ask you. Maybe that's
did.
what it
Yeah,
is.
you did
Well,
say
anyway,
you wanted to ask.
All right. Well, Mikey, is he worth the price tag?
I think he's proven to be worth it in the last. And I, you know what, we spoke a lot directly or indirectly about our timelines and Twitter and how people react. I'll tell you what, you don't see a lot of 65 million waste of money tweets anymore. And that's what happens. What ends up happening is a player hits a level of performance in which the value in which we paid for him is irrelevant. Declan Rice, 105. Nobody gives two shits that they paid 105 for Declan Rice. And I have this ongoing joke in my channel where, it's my hill. I like to choose a hill to die on every season for shits and giggles. And my hill was, he's not worth 100 mil. And I like, it's such a fun joke now of like, I'm sticking with that he's not worth 100 million, but he's a fucking elite footballer. Of course he's worth it, right? But but I'm dying on this hill. He's not worth. He's a night. Every time he has a great performance, I'm like, all right, 95 plus 5. That's but
95,
yeah. Now I'm just getting nitpicky for shits and giggles. But I think Kai Havertz, with the performances he's been putting in for the last, I don't know, 10 to 15 games at the very least, it's erasing all doubts. And if you really, I don't know how you want to value a player, but I think at 65, purchasing a ridiculously versatile player that could cover 3 positions, I think that holds a lot of value than one specific guy that can't play anywhere else. I think it has a lot of value personally. So you could say, hey, 65 chopped up in 2 positions, when Declan Rice, or when we're missing a midfielder, he goes in midfielder. When we were missing Odegaard versus Newcastle, he was playing on the right. When Gabriel Jesus was gone, he's playing as a striker and performing everything at a relatively high level. Started off slow at left 8, grew into it, went into center forward, grew into it, had that brilliant game versus Newcastle. I think he's completely justified, whether we win or don't win the league, because I don't want it to be like, I don't want to be contingent on that. I think thus far, his form and the way he's playing and what his value is to this club currently in the starting 11, I think he's well worth the 65 that we paid.
Ryan?
It's so tough when we talk about value and what is 65 mil. Like, how do you value that? But I'll just quickly give you my thoughts on Kai.
Let me see. 65 mil is 55 Cedrics. It's about
damn, he's worth it then. No, but so funny, not funny, maybe not. I'm probably gonna get booed here. I did not think he had a good game against Brighton. I thought he was just slow, couple feet. He's just not a quick player, and you could tell, like, when he gets the ball, you're like, dude, be quicker, do something here, do this. He just had the ball. He was like jog into the box, the ball, and he was just too slow for me when he had the ball. And I wrote down in my notes a few times, like, he's so slow, like just be a couple steps faster, But then when you look at him off the ball and you look at his runs, you look at where he goes, you look at his goal, he just knows where to go. He has that IQ. He knows where to make the runs. He knows, and I think that's something, I guess, to an extent you could teach it, but to be that good at it is very, very tough. And he's a player that's based on movements. He's one of the best. He's one of the best players in moving off the ball that we have, and we're one of the best teams at moving off the ball. And it's a breath of fresh air, because we have such talented players on the pitch. We have quick ones, we have technical ones. And and you have Kai Havertz, who I don't think he's airily as good as we make him out to be. I think he's a little slow. He can be stronger in challenges sometimes, but to me, Arteta's system is just all about moving the ball and moving off the ball and knowing where to go, knowing where to be, having that space, taking that space, opening up, and he just does it in spades. Do I think we can upgrade on Kai Havertz? I do. I keep going back and forth about this, but ideally, I want to see Emile Smith-Rowe be the upgrade to Kai Havertz. But right now, living in the now, I think Kai Havertz is wonderful, and he is the perfect Arteta player. And as far as Arteta is concerned, he's worth way more than 65 million. Had this be another team, I don't know, because we don't do what other teams do, and I just think his movement is just second to none, and it's very important to what we do, especially with the movement of the players. And I say this all the time: we don't really have positions. It's just places on the pitch, like areas that we occupy. Exactly. And after Kai scored to go up 2-0, our best friend Connor, who absolutely still doesn't like Kai, he hates him, thinks he sucks. Just like, oh yeah, well, he's slow as shit. And you know what? I actually agree. I was like, he's been slow. He's just been off it, but he just knows where to go. He knows where to be, and he's at that perfect spot just to get that to make it easy. To me, he's like a very, very good Eddie Nketiah almost. Where like Eddie is just like he was a fox in the box. He's a poacher. He gets it from the ball, goes in. Kai does that. Kai's obviously a lot better. But yeah, I think he's perfect for Arteta's system. And I think that's why he's really showing himself to everybody. I agree.
As far as Kai goes, I guess I'll kind of answer my own question here. I don't know how to define value for something like this, but given the price tag, I think he's living up to it. I think I'll maybe give you an opposite field.
And also, sorry, really quick, it just seems like he's scoring the most important goals too. Like the Brighton game was 1-0, and it was just like we could use another one. He scores it, and then what was it? West Ham or Villa? I don't know. We put another team where it was just like we could use another one. And then I think it was West Ham. And then he just puts one and he just scores at like the perfect time where you're like, we just need a goal. And he just always, it just seems like he's always that guy.
Yeah. I'm going to come back on the pod when he scores the winning goal in the Champions League.
Right. Yeah. But it's the other direction here, the opposite end perhaps of this spectrum is Nicolas Pepe, right? 72 million. And you're like, he's got to be good if that's, leading up to anything he's done for us. We paid that much for him. He's got to be good, right? I mean, and then he's a flop, and then you just kind of figure out that he's just not worth that much money.
I also think the Pepe thing is I don't like comparing that because I'm not
necessarily comparing them. It's more.
Well, I'm just saying I think there was backroom deals going on. I don't think we actually paid 17 million for him.
I guess my point is that you look at Declan Rice and I mean there are fans like we should start a GoFundMe to give West Ham more money for him. We feel bad because we fleeced them so bad. But earlier in the season, we're having just the exact opposite conversation regarding Kai Havertz. And it's like, he's going to come good. He's going to come good. He's going to come good. And he's come good. And I almost would say, or I would say he is almost one player that in the biggest games this season, he has to start, and he has to start in that pseudo 9 role that he's playing. He can play the left 8. He could probably, I don't know that he could play out on the wing per se. He's versatile. Arteta very clearly values versatility in this squad, and he has that in abundance. But we have found for him a very defined role that makes everything else for this side click. Martin Odegaard is a very versatile footballer. I think Martin Odegaard would do very well playing on the right wing. But he plays that I guess we'll call it the right 8. We're not going to call it a 10, but we'll call it the right 8. And he plays that role very well. He plays that role very well also. But you're not going to move him anywhere else because you lose something there. And if we drop Kai to any other position, we're going to lose something because no one is going to do in that position that he's in right now. No one else is going to do what he's doing. I do agree that with Ryan that he can be clumsy, he can be slow. He's on the ball and I'm always like kind of trying to get up on my horse and get a little giddy up going to try and encourage him to get a little giddy up going. But by and large, he doesn't really put a foot wrong for the most part, and I think that there's look, everybody has a role to play. And if you take out one of the cogs, the wheel's going to fall off the track. And I think he's one of those cogs. I think he's got to be one of the things holding it together, keeping it on the track, and off we go. So I guess go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, I think the tall and lanky thing makes him seem a little bit more.
Yes.
There's this thing on Nap that we actually, Sebi, my mate, he's so quick with he put Goofy and our away yellow kit because I've also described Kai as clumsy, and I said even when he scores a goal, he seems like he's like, and so we go a hook, and like he scores a goal, and so the ongoing joke on Nap is that he's our Goofy. Because he's tall and lanky, so I could see where you guys are going for with the whole body language. We're like it's almost like willing or unwilling, kind of like Peter Crouch, a guy that tall. He just looks a little goofy making a run, kind of. Yeah, so the body language kind of fails him for sure.
Yeah, I think that could be a part of it. I don't know. Yeah, he's tall, he's lanky. It almost looks like he's not putting in the effort, but at the same time, does he need to? Or he is, and this is just what it looks like, coming from him. So move on to Bayern real quick. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because we're up against 90 minutes here, and I think that's going to be a pretty good time for us to knock off. So I'm going to ask one question because I'm sure this will take us up to just about the end. We all agree Bayern are not what they've been in the past. They're not the European giant, that it's going to take a small army to defeat. But they are still Bayern Munich. They are still a very talented team. But I want to know from each of you the one player at Bayern that worries you the most, the one player that you would say this is a guy that we really need to negate. And I don't want it to be the obvious answer is Harry Kane, because Harry Kane's a guy that's going to score the goals.
Dyer.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Mikey, there's a hill for you to die on.
Well, there was reports saying that Upamecano, Tuchel, I don't know what's going on, but Tuchel wasn't convinced about Upamecano, like how he trained or some shit. So he's not gonna start versus us, and it's gonna be Eric Dyer and somebody else. I forget who their other center back is, but I was just kind of like, I'll take it. Like if you wanna go ahead and do that, by all means, you go ahead and do that. It is play Dyer versus us. I'm pro that.
Yeah. But yeah, who is the one player that we need to worry about, that we need to reel in and keep in check?
Well,
go ahead, Mike.
Goretzka is talented AF in the midfield. Musiala is a generational talent in Germany. Lone Star Leonard, I was going to go with the wingers that they have, because I know that depending on what winger we play, they could be very high up. And he mentioned Sane, and I was going to report that, but I'm going to say Sane, if he plays, worries me because of his speed along with Gnabry. but I'm 50-50 because I think Sané might be out for the game. I think he's training and seeing if he could make it. But I'm Musiala again. He's a generational player. I'm naming there. Hey Ryan, good luck. I named half the squad already, but I'll leave it at Musiala because he is a tricky player that can do some line cutting passes. So it's going to be tricky to avoid him finding Kane, but hopefully we could keep Kane to 0 xG like we did 3 games in a row with Haaland.
Yeah, Ryan.
I think it depends. I know this is like shitty answer too, but I think it depends if we give them the ball or not. If we play our game and we suffocate them, and not even suffocate, if we play in their third most game and we have 60, even I would say 60 to 70% possession, I think that their player that worries me the most is Musiala, because Musiala can play as that second striker. And if you go back to the Brentford game when we played them, we had trouble with Wisa, and Wisa kind of played second striker with Tony, and he was an issue. He had like 2 or 3 really good chances. I think one of the chances he should have scored and he didn't. I think we kind of have trouble with that second guy because we kind of man mark for the most part, and like Zinchenko kind of goes out of whether Zinchenko or Kivior or whoever we play. We kind of lose track of that attacking midfielder, a second striker type player, and I think Musiala, like Mikey said, he's a generational talent. I fantastic player. I love him. I have his shirt. I wear him the regular when I watch Germany play. I support the shit out of him. I think he's so phenomenal. I think he's going to be an issue regardless if we have the ball or not. But if we don't, if it's kind of a 50-50 game, Alphonso Davies and Kimmich are going to could be issues for us. They're fullbacks, but they push up the pitch kind of like our fullbacks do, and they're very technical with the ball. And I really see us having the ball more. I just don't think that I think we can break them. I think we could break them mentally, and I think we could take them out of the tie. I think we should try to push them early, pressure them, score. If we could score like 2 quick goals like in that first half and really break them, because that's a thing. That's like, to me, their Achilles heel is just mentally they're just not there. They're kind of in they have a lot of players that are kind of slowly phasing out. In your Thomas Mullers, your Manuel Neuers, and you have guys like Musiala coming in. Upamecano, like Mike said, they do have young players that can kind of make an impact. But I think that there's just a gap there. There's just something missing between the two. I think mentality's got a big issue, a big thing for it. I think they just don't show up to games. I've seen them play weaker teams in Germany where I'm like, this is Bayern Munich. Like, what's going on? They just don't seem up for it. It's just weird. But then it's funny. I watched them play Stuttgart earlier in the season, and they blitzed us early on. They blitzed us. They scored 2 quick goals on us, and it was over. And we couldn't do anything, and that was it. So they have that potential. But I think the big X factor here is Tuchel. I think Tuchel is just so – I think he's mentally out of a job. I don't really think he's going to bring his boys to play. I just don't think he's – I'm shocked he's still the manager of Bayern Munich. I absolutely shocked.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's Musiala. I'm not going to add anything. There's nothing for me to add. I'm just going to say the same thing that the two of you said. I'm just going to say it differently.
I wouldn't be shocked if like Thomas Muller and Ben White go at it at some point. I could see because they're both very similar players in their shithousery, and they're very jokey, like how we talked about Ben White earlier in the show. Thomas Muller is that for Bayern. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops. If they're even on, usually Muller plays on the right, but Muller tends to kind of, when Musiala pushes up as that second striker, Muller kind of slots in behind him and kind of is like that center attacking midfielder and kind of can do whatever he can and move side to side. So it will be very interesting to see how that develops. But yeah, this tie is tough for me because as someone who supports Germany day in, day out. And I have Muller's kid. I have Musau's kid for Germany, not for Bayern. But it's tough because I root for a lot of these players and I want them to do well. But I hope Arsenal thrash them, and they should, because mentally, even if you look at the Germany squad, it's very similar. Mentally, their players are just not always on the same page, and it's translating to Bayern. And I know, like, the German national team is not all the same players as they have in Bayern, but it's a lot. It's a lot of the key players: Neuer, Musiala, Muller. Those are, like, to me, those are right now the German big three, and I think they could be got at. I think we can get into. Definitely, we can. Hopefully, and I think this is kind of why I said the Ben White Muller thing. I really hope Ben White can just break Muller early, because I think he's their what am I trying to say? He's like the team compass. Like, if he's down, if he's not playing well, and he can't get behind the team, they're just gonna crumble. Like, he's their lead. I guess I would say he's like their leader. Him and like Neuer are like their leaders.
Is Neuer healthy?
I was gonna say,
I don't know. Actually, he's been on and off. Last I heard, he was healthy, but I don't know. I don't know.
According to
he didn't play against. Who did they play? Heinembaum. He didn't play. They had Ulrich, who I don't think he's a terrible backup, but he's still a backup, and I still think we need to put a bunch past him. But yeah, I don't know. That will be interesting. And by the way, the center back you're thinking of, Mike, is De Ligt.
Matthias,
he could be an issue for us because he didn't even play. They rested him just for us. So it's going to be interesting to see how they deploy him and how he does against us.
Sane, Coleman, and Neuer were all scheduled to come back late April, early May. So it's kind of a 50-50. I just
Sane, Neuer, and who's the third?
Coleman.
Okay. Oh, Kingsley.
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, while you guys were chatting, I went to find it. That's what I could find. It all scheduled late April, early May. So I don't know if they're making it or not. But
Kingsley Coman would be one, if he were healthy, that would worry me, which is why I didn't. Yeah. I didn't mention him at all. But I don't think he's playing. But he's one that would worry me too, for sure. That dude can absolutely fly.
I don't think he's had that good of a season, though. Not that.
It's not having
a player that he can just show up. So I'm not.
Am I wrong to say, Ryan? You watch more Bundesliga than I do. Hasn't Kimmich played in multiple positions as well?
Yep, Kimmich plays.
Yeah. He's like entirely the entire right.
He can play
the entire right side, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's played
anywhere. Kimmich. He's played defensive midfielder. He's played center mid. He could play anywhere on the right side. He's played left back.
I was going to say he's played fullback at some point, hasn't he?
He plays. He is their fullback right now.
Yeah. I got to say, I got a lot of love for players like that. So like
I'm a big.
I know we're not going to deep dive into transfers because Ryan and I got to go watch WrestleMania, but joking. But when the idea got floated, or like links on Twitter's said that we might be looking at Kimmich because he hasn't signed a contract at his age, his versatility, I'm kind of like, ooh, sign me up.
I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. He's one of those players that, like, I mean, the profile fits everything that we want to do. So, fellas, final thoughts. Let's I know you guys I kind of want to go watch. I don't know if I'm going to watch WrestleMania right now. I don't even know. I can hear it. It's on downstairs. I can hear it. I just don't know what match is on. I really just want to see the 2 title matches. That's really all I care about. The men's title match.
That's actually what's going on right now, by the way.
Oh, is it?
It's Seth Rollins, Seth and Bray.
Oh shit! I thought they'd go with that later.
No, they started off the night with that one.
Wow. Are they still going?
Live blog AF right now. Yeah, they're still going.
Oh, here, fine. I'll just throw it on Peacock. Oh, that's the replay.
There you go.
That.
All right.
Anyway,
before you get copyrighted, end the stream before you start streaming WrestleMania. Right?
Yeah, I know, right? Final thoughts, fellas. Mikey, I'll start with you.
On Bayern,
just a final thought general? Overall in general.
Believe in the team. They're playing with the champion's composure, And even if they don't blitz the other team, just know that they got something up their sleeve. Arteta's a tactical mastermind. Our squad is full of intelligent, strong, technical players, and be prepared to see multiple styles of play. I would say don't get married on Arsenal's an attacking, team. Arsenal is a pressing team. Arsenal could be whatever the shit Arteta wants them to be on the day. So I know we started off this entire podcast talking about confidence and everybody being different, but I think there's so many positives that it's borderline impossible to be negative. So at the very least, I would strongly recommend going into every game for the remaining of the season with some level of optimism.
Nice. Ryan?
All we have to do is win 7 games. That's it. Win 7 games. At least for the Premier League anyways. No, that's it. I really hope we bring it to Bayern. I really hope we're not intimidated by the front of their jersey because the back of their jerseys ain't shit. I think their defense is weak. And, kind of like I said, they have Alphonso Davies on one side, Kimmich on the other. Very good in the attack. And this Bayern team, they're not playing well. Ooh, that's cool. They're not
what the shit did I just do?
Oh, what are you pressing buttons now? This Bayern team isn't what it was, but it still leads the Bundesliga in goals per game. They're at about 3. I think they're 2.9 goals per game. So they like to score. They really do. But the thing is, they let in a lot. Their defense can be got at. Neuer, even if Neuer did somehow play, he's old. He's getting old. I hate to say it. I love Manuel Neuer, but he's getting old. I really think we need to suffocate them early and blitz them early. Kind of do what City do. Try to do just blitz them early, get a quick goal. I think we could do that. I just hope we're not intimidated because they're Bayern Munich, because of the last time we got to play them in Champions League, what they did to us. And it was right. It was the last time we played in the Champions League. It was against them, right? They were our last game. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. I just hope we're not intimidated by it. And I don't think we are because none of the players are the same, but it's Bayern Munich. It's the name on the jersey. And I just hope we can get over that because as of now, as of what we've done this season, I think it definitely can be done and will be done.
Very nice. I'm loving it.
Very well said, gents. Mikey, thank you very much for jumping in here with us. Really appreciate you being here, man. It's always a good time. I love what you bring. I know we all love what you bring. It's not just me. We love having you a part of this show, man. So I will continue to put the invites out there for you, sir. And hopefully you can make as many as possible.
I'm extraordinarily grateful that despite me turning you down on multiple occasions because of my absolute madness of a schedule,
again, man, that's
you always
life,
keep
brother.
me in mind. So
of course.
Thank you for that, dude.
Of course, man. Yeah, like I said, that's life, brother. It happens. It happens to all of us, man. Trust me. It's happened to me numerous times where I've had to cancel shows because of a sick dog or work or whatever. It happens. The invite will almost always be there. And if it's not there for some reason, it's just we've got a full panel otherwise. So Lone Star Londoner, welcome back in, my friend. Good to see you in the chat. Very happy to have you back, being a part of it.
We might have to keep going late because I feel like he showed up the last time we did a late show like this. I think.
I wonder if that might be a part of it. Because we're usually trying to do I shouldn't say early afternoons, like mid afternoons now, 3-4 o'clock, give or take. Mr. Bobble X is a new name we saw in there and dropped a subscription for us. Thank you very much for that. We really appreciate it. Bronx Gunner was in there. I mentioned Lone Star. I don't think I need to mention Mikey Hers, who was dropping comments in the chat as well. But yeah, a lot of good stuff out there. We had James Johnstone in there. Ryan from the Mr. Arsenal podcast was in there. Early Doors Football jumped in there as well. I mentioned Bronx Gunner. Pretty sure I covered just about everybody in the live chat. Thank you all very much. Thank you everyone watching on Twitter as well. We really appreciate the numbers that you guys are giving us. That's a pretty big one for us. This is the most live views that we've ever had on this program. We're at 258, so hopefully those numbers keep going up. We'll always try to get plenty of posts out there on Twitter to let you guys know when we're going to be going live. If you like what you saw on Twitter, hop over to YouTube, drop a subscription on the channel for us. We'd really appreciate it. Make sure you're leaving us a thumbs up, and if you're subscribed to the channel, make sure you click the bell icon so that you get notified of every new show and you never miss a thing. That is it for us. It's been great footy talk, everybody. Go enjoy your Sunday WMXL night, and we'll see you out there.